Okay, let's do this. This has got to be the most vulnerable and personal video that I have shared so far on my channel. And it's taken me a couple of months to do it. I was debating if I should do it or not, and in the end, here I am. And I'm gonna explain why. But first, I'm just gonna go straight to it and say it. For the last couple of months, I have not been working. And the reason why is because I got fired. Now, if you follow me on Instagram for the past year, you probably got some hints and teasers. I was sharing my journey, not talking openly about it, about what was really going on, but I was definitely sharing the fact that I was in a very toxic work environment and I had to deal with patronizing behavior and I had to face difficult confrontational conversations in order to solve conflict or deal with it at least. So it was a really, really tough experience, a really tough time. On top of that, COVID happened. But I've been dealing with this for the past, ever since I joined the company, to be honest. The reason why it took me so long and I got to the point of getting fired is the fact that I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to admit that that place was not for me. I came to Switzerland with that job. I got the job before I even arrived here. So of course, it's not easy to just admit the reality. You always try to, like I always say, paint it in pink, like try to picture it in a positive way. Despite the obvious things and all the red flags, I didn't want to see them. I wanted to try, I wanted to make it work somehow. But in the end, it got to a point where the working relationship was not sustainable anymore. And I'm going to say why. What happened was that I was, like I said, in a toxic environment, but in my particular case, the toxic person causing the toxic environment was not a colleague or several colleagues. It was my boss. It was my manager. And I tried to solve it. I mean, when I first joined, I could see that things were not really working so well, that I wasn't being able or allowed to do my job, the one I was hired for, that my ideas weren't getting any feedback, not positive or negative, nothing at all, like they were being thrown in an empty hole. And I let it pass a couple of months because I thought, you know what, you're new to this. Everything was new to me, not only the company and also the role, but also the industry. You know, it's a tech industry, but the job, the product that we were selling is highly technical, and I have zero technical background other than my experience working in an IT industry. But the companies I work for, they do different products and they have absolutely nothing to do with this. It's hardware security. So it's a really tough thing to sell, and I work in sales. And so at the beginning, I thought I had to learn a lot of this because I'm a top performer, and it's a fact. The results that I have brought to the jobs that I have done in the past, I have the results there. It's my personality type. I like to overachieve. So I wanted to be hands-on from the minute I landed that job. I wanted to get started, to start delivering results, and always put a lot of pressure on me on learning as much as I can, as soon as I can. So I wasn't being able to do that. I was kind of being told to read and in order to learn. And I'm more of a person that I'm into learning by doing. Is the best way to learn. And I wasn't even allowed to do that. But it was frustrating at first, because I'm used to hit the ground running, and in big corporations, at least, you just start in the minute you get hired. You do these online trainings, onboarding trainings that you usually have to do, and then you start working and managing your accounts and doing your own work with clients, and that wasn't the case here. So I thought maybe I need to prove myself like harder just so that he can trust me and I can, get on more responsibility. But yet again, I started feeling like I was being treated like a junior. And I have, just for a little bit of context, I have over 12 years experience in big companies. This is a startup. So there were some lines that he was crossing that I wasn't feeling comfortable with, like this kind of demeaning attitude or feedback or patronizing behavior in the way certain things or comments were given. But I was looking at the other way and I was thinking maybe it's just a communication issue, lack of skills when it comes to managing a team, because it was the first time for him managing somebody. So I was very, very patient in that aspect. But then a few months passed by and I was like, I need to address this because maybe he's not aware and I can fix it. And it's in any way not sustainable to keep going like this. So I set up a meeting, tried to discuss it with him first, always using the tone, I feel like, I have noticed that, instead of accusing him of anything. And it went really, really well. And I was really proud of myself for taking the step and addressing the topic. It's not comfortable, but it was needed. And I did it and it worked. It lasted for about a week until it got worse. So then from that moment on is when I started feeling like anxious, because I saw that even though I took action and things, he took it really well and he was saying, you're right, I should have noticed that before, I should let you do your work, and yes, I know I haven't been able to give you feedback on your ideas, I need to start doing that more often, I don't know how to delegate or manage the work. And I only got reaffirmation during that conversation, but then the attitude a week after got worse. And all the whole relationship after that, I could see that he was feeling kind of threatened by me, even though my intention was never ever to make him feel threatened whatsoever. And I was very cautious on the way I was even giving my ideas and the way I was communicating so that he could feel safe. And oh my God, I have so much to share about this and so many thoughts that I want to talk to you about, because I shouldn't have to even be cautious, not to make somebody feel less, like that's not my job. But I was doing that, and that is so wrong in so many ways. But anyways, I don't want to go off topic. I will leave that for other videos. And I will share my 50 cents on how I think these situations should be handled, because it was a massive learning curve for me. And I feel like I can share that with you guys. But anyways, back to the topic. After a few months passed by, the situation got worse. The relationship was really tense and I was still not being able to perform as I'm used to. And then the moment came to renegotiate my salary, because it was the beginning of the next year and it was just something that it's common practice. And I could see that he was willing to offer me worse conditions. So I went to the CEO and discussed the conditions myself. I negotiated an amazing salary and I got it. I got exactly what I asked for. But I had to address what was happening, because I set up a one-to-one with the CEO and I said, look, I know my manager is offering me this, but I want to tell you why I'm not willing to accept that. It's demotivating, and for a salesperson, that's not what you really want to have in your team. And this is what I want, and I'm going to explain why I deserve this. And then I also explain what was going on behind the scenes so that he would be aware of it. And I said, look, if you could assist me somehow, there is not HR team here, and I really want to make this work, and I'm confident we can fix it or find a solution to work together, but I'm gonna need your help because I don't know what else to do. I tried to talk to him twice before I raised it to the CEO. I tried to talk to my manager twice, and the situation always got worse. And I gave him clear examples, like facts. I was very fact-based. I didn't go to him talking about emotions or I feel like I was really fact-based, and he agreed with me. He said it's not the first time he heard something like that. He heard it from other employees. He didn't want to share anything else, but he was aware, and that he would think about something and get back to me. I didn't hear anything for 6 months. 6 months. And that's during the time COVID started. And I was thinking, oh my God, now with home office, working from home, I'm gonna be able to have more distance from him, and it's gonna be better. I'm gonna catch my breath, and I'm gonna be able to focus on my work better. No, it got 1,000 times worse, because he's a micromanager, so he became even worse. He felt like he wanted to supervise every single thing I was doing, asking me things like, what's going on with your child? If you're not taking her to daycare, then who's taking care of her? And all these kind of questions that are really, it put me in a very stressful situation. I was feeling completely controlled, and I don't even know how to describe it, but it was, legally you were allowed to have your kid at home while you were working, because the whole world shut down. So it's not like I had a choice, right? And that was very, very stressful, and asking a lot of personal questions that were none of his business, and he was not entitled to make them, because we didn't even have the personal relationship for him to have the space to make those questions. So it was really, really, it was a horrible time for me. But anyways, after that, I went again to the CEO, because I couldn't take it anymore, and I laid out all the recent things that happened. And he said, yeah, you're right. I told you I was gonna get back to you back in January, and honestly, it was not on the top of my list, and I kind of let it sleep. But I'm gonna think of something and tell you. But just so you know, I'm not in a position to do any changes in the organization at this point. So the options that we have are very limited. And when he said that, I kind of saw it coming. I didn't think it was gonna happen like this, but I kind of could expect it. He was being bothered by me addressing an issue that he didn't want to look into. It's like someone is asking me, forcing me to make a change in something that I don't want to change right now. So I think like he felt annoyed by that, even though he agreed with me. And not even once I got a constructive criticism or anything at all, nothing to change. I kind of felt like he was always annoyed by me addressing or raising this topic. But again, I didn't have any HR team or anyone to address it to, because it's a very small company. It's like we were 20 people, so you can imagine. I felt helpless, completely helpless. And before I talked to him, by the way, I just want to mention, I confided in a friend, a colleague. She's also part of the leadership team, and she was amazing, super supportive, and she gave me amazing feedback and advice on how to handle the situation, and I followed her advice. And she was the one encouraging me to actually talk to the CEO. And she also stepped up for me after this conversation, the last one that I had with him, because she was present while we had several disagreements, and she encountered several ones herself with him. So it was really, she was amazing, very, very supportive. And I think if you find yourself in a situation like this, finding an ally makes such a huge difference. Also to bear the conflict and go through it. It's better when you can talk to someone that is in that same work environment as you are. And also helps to bring visibility of the issue to the higher levels in the organization, and someone that can be an ally on your side, so that you have someone supporting you. That was crucial. But anyways, like I said, I felt like the management was very annoyed by me raising this topic and not into hearing more about it or wanting to deal with it. So what happened was in August last year, then I went on holidays for a month. I could really disconnect. And then my manager went on holiday, so we didn't see each other. And when he came back, things escalated and they got really heated, because at some point I couldn't take it anymore, and I said, look, I am gonna ask the CEO to not report to you anymore because it's not sustainable. And he got really like he totally crossed the line. He started yelling at me, threatened me with losing my job if I was not able to work with him. And I said, okay, this is it. I don't have to take this anymore. And I talked to the CEO and I said, look, I am not coming to work to be yelled at. This is not what I signed up for, and it's not what you want me to do here either. Like, we're supposed to get our jobs done, and this is impossible. And in the end, what happened is that they let me go. He said that the working relationship was not working anymore, and he was not in a position to make any changes within the organization. So they had to let me go. And I know for a fact they were like in a round of getting investors. So maybe that's why he didn't want to change the leadership team. I don't know, honestly. But the point is that I got fired. And the way I felt when that happened was I felt a huge relief. I was really happy when it happened, because it's like, oh my God, I really don't have to come back here anymore. I don't have to deal with this toxic environment anymore. And it was like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I could finally breathe. But it was very conflicting at the same time, because I also felt like it was very unfair that throughout the whole time I was only reaffirmed in my facts and in my situation, and everybody was telling me, yeah, you're right, yet I'm the one to be let go. And that was very conflicting for me to process, and I thought, this is so unfair, like I don't deserve this. And also I see myself as like a top performer, overachiever, like like I'm really good at my job, and all of a sudden I'm fired. Like, what? It's kind of like I kind of let that describe me somehow for a moment, and I was feeling very conflicted by that. So it was really tough. For a couple of weeks, I was kind of like dealing with all the thoughts and all my feelings and kind of processing them. And I didn't want to share anything about it because I wanted to keep it to myself. And when I said about, like, I really didn't tell anybody, just my mom and, my husband, like closest family members. But I didn't tell friends, I didn't tell anyone, because I wanted to process this myself and be in a place where I was strong enough and like had a clear mind about what I wanted to do. Because seriously, every single time when I started telling people, the first question I got after this was like, what are you gonna do now? It's everyone wanted to know what's coming next, and I didn't know myself. I think I had an idea of the things that I wanted to do, but I didn't know if it was the right time or not. And anyways, it took me a while until I was able to talk about this with family and friends. And the reason why I'm telling you now, it's because I feel like when people talk about this, well, first of all, people don't talk about this. I feel like there's a stigma. And like I said, it happened to me, to let this define me as an employee or as a professional, when it shouldn't be the case. And I want to break that. I want to break with that. So I'm just going to put this video out there so that it's my way of breaking that stigma. And second of all, when people actually talk about this is when they are already on the other side, when they feel like they are now successful in some other way, and they are not in this period anymore of what is considered to be failure. It's not for me. I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I failed. I'm actually very proud of what I did and the way I handled the conflict in the end. I am very, very proud that I stood up for myself, because the truth is, If I would have kept my mouth quiet, I would probably still be working there. But I didn't. I draw the lines of where, okay, this is where you're not gonna cross. And it's hard to do that, you know, it's really hard, especially in a male-dominated industry. It's really hard to do that. And the fact that I was strong enough to do it, I'm super proud of that. Very, very proud. And yes, you might think, yeah, yet you got fired, so you really didn't succeed at that. For me, I did, because it means I wasn't supposed to be there even in the first place. And what happened had to happen anyway. The only thing I regret is that I let it take that long. Like, I think about, why did it take me so long? Why didn't I quit first? Why didn't I look for another job first? And I think the reason is because, first of all, I moved to Switzerland with that job, like I said, and I was super excited about it. It was a whole new challenge, and I really wanted to show myself that I can do it. And it was more like a challenge with myself. I wanted to prove myself that I could do that. And second, I was always also thinking, you can find toxic people anywhere you go. Are you supposed to change jobs every time that happens? No, you stick to it and you go through it and you deal with it. And that's what I tried to do. I told myself that. And now I know better. Now I know when you're in a toxic environment like that, when you're faced with somebody that is incapable of managing a person because he doesn't have the skills, not the self-awareness that it requires to learn and improve, you need to get out. Because if it's a big multinational company, you can change teams or do something else. But in such a small company, there's no way out. You're never gonna win that. Never. The only thing that happens is that I ended up draining myself. And it also kind of started affecting my self-confidence at some point, which was a major red flag for me that I saw. And then it's like the time when I started actually applying for jobs. But that was closely to the end when I ended up getting fired. So it's kind of like we both saw it at the same time, that I had to give up. That's when the yelling happened, basically. So I regret letting it last that long, because it can really affect you long term. So if you're in a situation like this, my advice is get out. Get out as soon as you can. Find another job, start applying for jobs, do whatever you can to get out, because it's not worth it. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And that was a learning for me. Now I know better. I wish I would have known before. And the other reason why I wanted to share this is because, like I said, people talk about this when they are on the other side and not when they are in the vulnerable position, like I am still. And I feel like you can relate more to that. I try to look for people who were going through something like this. And I know, I mean, it's COVID time, we're in a pandemic, there are being layoffs everywhere, yet you don't find anybody talking about it. There is kind of like this shame, stigma associated to that, and people don't want to talk about this. And I mean, I understand it. I don't judge it at all. But in case you are going through something similar, I hope if you come across this video and you're watching this, you can feel like you relate to me and you are not alone on this. And also because even to top performers, people who really love to work and deliver high quality of work, you still can get fired, and it's absolutely normal. It can happen. Unfair things happen to everybody, and everything happens for a reason. To be honest, I feel like a huge relief now, and I have been able to enjoy the last couple of months with my family, and it gave me a major perspective on my life. And it's like always in these deep down moments where you have the biggest learnings. So I'm very thankful for what happened. I'm very, very thankful. And I have major changes coming up, which I will share in a separate video. But yes, it has been a blessing. And still, despite all the emotions and negativity, I feel like this was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I learned so much that I want to share with you all, that you might, I know, because on Instagram, where I was sharing all of these little teasers and commenting on what I was dealing with, some of you messaged me privately, and we have been having conversations. And I know you guys have been also going through toxic working environments, and some of you don't know how to handle it. You don't know if it's the right time to quit or how to deal with it all. And I feel like I can share a lot of learnings that might help you go through this. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in upcoming videos. Stay tuned for those. Subscribe and click on the notification bell in case you're interested in that type of content. That's it. I hope this video resonated with you somehow, and if you're in similar situation, and if not, I still thank you for watching until the end. And I'm just happy to keep sharing my journey with you all. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.